Okay, what is exception handling? So, when we write a Java program, you see errors we get. What are the errors that are red marked errors we get? And that we have to fix it. Is there any solution? No, you have to fix it means you have to change a code or put a semicolon. If it is any bracket is missing, we have to close. So that is we have to mandatorily fix that error in order to run the program. But exception is something, it is not an error, but that error occurs maybe while executing at a runtime. Okay. So logically or grammatically, syntax wise, your program code is correct. And there is no red mark error in the code. But still, when you run, you may get an exception. That is, at a runtime, we get exceptions, and that is we handle with this exception handling. Okay, so what are the errors that we get at a runtime? We will see. So exception handling is the powerful mechanism by which we can handle the runtime errors that can occur in the program. So what will happen if there is a error? Code will not run. Yes. What will happen if there are some issues in the code? There will be code will not execute further. Wherever the error is, it will stop then and there itself. So you might be having 1,000 lines of code or lakhs of lines of code. It is useless with that one error. Whatever you have done a good work, the lines of code, 10,000 lines of code you have, but it will not work because of what? A small error which is occurred at a runtime. It is not a good, right? So if something happens at a runtime and your entire program is not working, will that be okay? It's a wastage of all the work we have done. So it is going to be a big trouble for us when we write a program and it is not working. So we want in any case the program to work. If there are any problems that may occur, so our code should be capable of handling it. So that handling mechanism is exception handling. So in case of there is some error, we how he handle, like how the code will handle it, how it is going to keep a track of it or print that error and execute further without stopping the code while executing further. So it should not stop, it should execute remaining lines of code. For that, we write this exception handling. So what actually the normal code will look like? You have some code. So you have a classes, methods, and some lines of code you have. Okay, some blah, blah, blah code you have. Just think that. And there is some exception at this line. And we have some lines. So what will happen? Program will stop here. Why it will stop? Because of the error. It will stop here and will not execute further. So these lines will not be executed even if the code is correct. And while we compile it, there is no error. So the errors can occur at a runtime. Those errors we can handle with exception handling. Okay, is it clear? Whatever we see the errors in the code, suppose we have a code. What is a code we have? So let us see this. Now we are creating one program and we are having some errors. How this is fixed? We have to see, okay, it is a error and red mark is shown. So it is, the semicolon is missing. We have to fix it. It is not an exception. It is the error. It is different. Exception is, suppose you are opening a file, but file is not available at a particular location. Maybe you have one integer variable I equals to 0 and you're writing A1 divided by I in a code. Okay. And which is you're storing in a one variable answer. So here grammatically it is the correct code. Is there any error? It is also integer, I is also integer, A1 is a integer. There is some value, but in I we have 0. Can we divide any number with 0?
Oh.
No, so then
No.
we get an exception. So what is exception? We get arithmetic exception we get. So exceptions are runtime that are not grammatical mistakes. So what are the different exceptions we have? We will see. In case of exceptions, the further program will not run. The errors are not handled. So we have to handle the exception using the try catch block so that code will run further as well. So how we handle an exception? With the try, we add all the code in this try and we catch the exception with the catch block with exception. Okay. Object we can catch it. Okay. So with try catch we can handle. But what are the types of exceptions we have? We will see first. First, we'll try to understand what are the exceptions we have. Okay, what is exception? What is exception is clear. So at a line number, we have exception. So further lines are not going to execute. So we have to handle the exception. Okay, clear?
Yes. Yeah, yes,
Yes.
please.
So now we will see what are the exceptions we have. Okay, exception. There is a exception class. So inside a exception class, what are the different exceptions we have? We will see. IOException, which is related to input output, meaning is file related exceptions. Suppose you are opening a file, the file is not available, so we get an exception. SQL exception. SQL exception is you are connecting to database, connection is not created. Those exceptions we have. Class not found exception. And we have runtime exception. Okay. In runtime exception class, we have different child classes. Arithmetic exception. So when this exception will occur, so divide by 0 exception, those are the arithmetic exceptions. Okay. Null pointer exception we have. Null pointer exception is, suppose you have a string str equals to null. Null is, what is null? Null meaning is nothing. Okay. No value is assigned to the string str. And you are writing str dot length. What is the length function will do?
It will measure.
It will give the length, but there is no value to find a length. Then we get a null pointer exception. Okay. So null pointer exception class is inside or it is inheriting the runtime exception class. So it is a child class of runtime exception. So this is, we are looking at what are the different classes we have in the exception. Okay. So these are some of the examples. Okay. We have index out of bound exception. Okay. Out of bounds exception. And the child classes for this are array, index, out of bounds exception. Okay. What is array, index, out of bound exception? We create an array, integer array equals to array. I will write array of numbers equals to, you have something 10, 20, 30 numbers you have in an array. What is numbers? It's an array of integers. Now, numbers of index 0. Meaning is it will point to which number? Tell me. So when we
10.
create a number, there are 3 values, right?
Arithmetic. Sorry, 10. 10.
Okay, 10. What is 10? At a index 0, the value is 10 available. Okay. At a index 1,
20,
at a index 2,
30.
if you write index 4, what is the value?
No value, like null.
No value. So it is out of bound. There is, you have exceeded the limit. There is last element index is 2, but you are using num of 4, which is the index 4 value we are trying to print, which is not available. This time we get a exception index out of bound. So array index out of bounds exception we get. So let us create these exceptions and see how we get the exceptions and how we handle. So first I will write a code to create the exceptions. Then we will understand what are the exceptions we get. So this is one of the exception I tried to create, which is divide by 0 exceptions. Let us run the program and see. What is, we have exception. So there is a arithmetic exception. Did you see arithmetic exception? Divide by 0. It is printed. Okay. Hello world is printed, but after that, the error is at this point, then nothing executed. So name and A1 value is not printed. Okay. Whatever is the line of code is not executed. Whatever is we have in that class. So error occurred at a line number 13, then nothing executed. Before that was program was executing, but because of this line, it is not executing. Let us comment and run it. Will it run? So see, other values are also printed now. Because of exception, the programs are not executing till the end. Fine. This is one of the example of exception. So let us create one more exception in another class. So I'll create one class which is for a string demo. Take a main method. And in this, we will write a program string str equals to null. Str.length. What it will return?
Null pointer exception.
Yes. Actually, what we are trying to print size. What is size of a str? So
Null.
string length equals to plus size we will print. Okay. But it will show some exception. So null pointer exception it is showing. If there is some value, if there is a value, for example, let us take some value as a Anusha. Okay. And now what will be the output? Is it correct? So length is 6. There are 6 characters. Length is 6 printed. But if it is null and you're trying to find a length, then there is no length to the string. So compiler is not able to find it. What is the length? So it will throw an error, which is correct output, which is we have to handle. Actually, as a programmer, it is our responsibility that we should not assign null and check a size. Okay, check a length, which is maybe sometimes when we are writing lot of code, we may do that mistake. So for that, we have exception handling to handle. Now let us handle the exception by creating exception. So what is the mechanism to handle exception can be achieved using try-catch block. What we write in the try block? The try block will contain a code where we can or where we are expecting exception to occur or may occur. Okay, as a programmer, we know something may go wrong in this code. We have to analyze, okay, that little knowledge we should have. So we cannot write entire code in the try, entire main method in a try and write. Why we have to write few lines in a try? Because once the exception occurs, okay, how try executes, let us understand. Everyone clear? We have to handle an exception. Otherwise, program will not run. Yes, Monica, Neha,
Yes, Priya.
Rupa, clear. So if there is exception and we are not executing, meaning is program will not run. Program will not run till the end. So halfway it will run, exception occurred, and further it will print the exception occurred and nothing will execute. So we are not okay to stop the program because we have written the code for executing, not to just waste it, right? So we want our program to run, and these exceptions we can handle. So these error situations that can occur, but still we can handle those error situations not to occur. Now, how to handle is the question. Yes, for sure we have to handle. We will not be okay if there is exception and we are executing half of the program and half of not executed. We are not okay with that. Clear, Vasudha? Yes. Okay. Vijaya? Okay. Rupa, Sunita? Yes.
Yes, Priya. Yes,
So
Priya.
we have to handle a exception so that entire program is executed till the end. The main purpose of exception handling is, even though there is a error or a small error situations that can occur or that are occurred, but still the program will execute till the end, whatever happens. Okay, whatever happens, let my program to run till the end is my objective. So how to achieve that? We are going to write the code in a try. So this I will write in a try block. Try, and we close the try here. Okay, so what we have in a try, only where we can get an exception is we write in a try, not the print statement. Print statement will not have exception. Exception will be at this length when we are finding, and if we have null. So suppose you have some value initially, later you changed it, and later you have null. Okay, consider that. It is for sure we have exception in this example, but when we have long program, consider that you have initially some value, later you are changing. Then we have to write try and followed by catch. Try will never exist without a catch block. Always try and catch will be in a pair. Okay. It should be in a pair. It cannot, try cannot work without a catch. Catch doesn't have any meaning without a try. Okay. So there should be catch for a try. It will be there in a pair. Yes. Now for a catch, we have to write a class of exception which is matching to the exception. Now what are the classes we know? We know which will match for this scene. With this scene and scenario, we know, right? Which will match? Tell me.
Null pointer
Null
exception.
pointer.
So null pointer will match. So we will write, as a programmer, we are sharp. So we will write null pointer exception because we know, because we have only 2 lines of code in a try, and we have to catch that exception. So we write that matching exception object here in a catch. So catch, this is a class and this is a object of it. So E is a object. Now E you can give, E1 you can give, or EXE you can give. Anything is fine. So now I created an object E, null pointer exception E. And now here you can print this entire object E. E dot, you can write print stack trace. It's a stack of errors. What is a stack? Like all collection of the errors that are occurred while executing the program will be printed. So what is our job? Whatever is error, we print it and exception is handled. Okay, because we are writing catch block, compiler will run this code with that consciousness. Okay, there might be the errors in this code, and if there is error and there is a matching catch block to it, compiler will execute it and execute further lines of code. So no code will not, like, it will not be a situation that further code will not be executed. So there should be the matching catch block, and next statements will execute without any interruption. So next program will also run. Now this is a null. We should get an exception at this point, and exception we are handling at this point. So what is E dot? You can directly print E also is also fine. Okay, if you are good at, you can write the other program also is fine. Okay, so what is this size? Now this size became a local variable to this try. What is local variable? The variable declared inside a block is a local variable. So let us make it global. Here I will write size so that the error is gone for this size. Okay. So what we have is here is size is in the size. We have a try block inside also we have. And what is this? Okay. So it is directly showing that, okay, you have to initialize. Okay. What is we have to initialize a variable. Okay, it is saying initialized. Let us initialize null. And this is also, I will not take in this. No, size is different. Size is we will give D0. Okay. Now let us run and see. So length is 0. There is a null pointer exception, but still length is printed. Okay. Because size is initially the value is 0. So there is no value in it. It is printed. Even though there is an exception, after try catch block, next statements will be executed. So here if I write one more statement, this is after catch. It will also be executed. Okay, after catch is also executed. So exception is handled. This is the way we handle a exception. This is basic way of handling a exception. Okay. Write a program, make a note of this program. Okay.
Ma'am,
Priya?
after catch, the statement will be run. It should be compulsory, like after catch, whatever we write, it will run.
It is compulsory to write, you are asking?
I'm asking after catch block, every statement will run automatically, like after catch.
Yes, after catch. So suppose our program has multiple classes. What is a program will contain multiple classes will be there when we have a framework, when we have lot of code, when we are running a project entirely. So we will have multiple classes, multiple programs, multiple methods. So even though there is a error, we want other things to run smooth. So those will
Okay.
run. Okay.
Ma'am, try, catch, and final is also available. Final
Finally,
period.
yes, I am coming to those. Yes. So this is the basic method. Now, finally is a optional block. It is you write it, you do not write it. It is optional. But if you write it, finally will be executed even though the exception occur or not. So finally you write, suppose you are writing finally. I'm going to come to this point also, finally, and some other. You can write multiple catch block also, not only one catch. One try can have multiple catch blocks. Okay, we will see that. Is this clear? We will see finally. Before that, is it clear whatever we have discussed?
Yes.
Priya, one
Yes.
question.
Hmm.
Like in this program, there was this null error, and we knew it. So we wrote it in this catch block, the null pointer exception. Say,
Mhm.
suppose there are 1,000 lines of codes, and we don't know where the error is. So in this catch block, so do we like keep on writing all the errors and exceptions
Hmm.
and see which is pointing out,
Yes.
which is it pointing out?
Yeah, good question. Okay. Yes. So, how try works, let us understand step by step, like very basic thing. When a exception occurs, like how program will execute, simple line by line. It will read, compiler will read line by line code, whatever the lines are. Okay. So line 1, 2, 3 are there. So line by line that is executed. Now exception is at line 2. There is a exception. Okay. There is a problem. Now compiler what? Compiler will do? Compiler will find for a exception matching object catch block. Matching object catch block meaning is where the exception is matching. Suppose there is a different exception which is array out of bound exception, array index out of, and we have written null pointer exception. For example, we have null point array index out of bound exception, but we are handling only null pointer. There is no other catch block. We can have multiple catch blocks also, but we don't have. Then exception is not handled. Your further program will not execute. There is no meaning of writing catch block which is not matching. So it should match. So what we have to do, there are two things now here. You write exception E. Exception E will match with everything because it is a parent of all the classes. Who is a parent here? Now this exception class is a parent of IOException, SQLException. So whatever exception will occur, everything will match with this catch block. You write this catch, then everything will match. If you know particularly null pointer exception is there, write only 1 is fine. Write 2 also is fine. Okay. Write 2, 3 is also fine. So write index out of bound, array, like 1 and then 2, and then you write third as an exception E. That is also fine. You can write multiple catch blocks. Now, okay, let me cover up. So now, the exception is matching. So somewhere it matched. For example, you have written exception E. It is matched. Okay, it will execute and it will execute further. Compiler will not go and check this 3 line because exception was at 2. And compiler went out of a try block and catch is available. It will execute and further lines will execute. Compiler will not go back to the line number 3. So we always should have only minimum number of lines of code where you can have only one exception. So one try can handle only one exception. We cannot write hundreds of lines of code that, okay, then we can have hundreds of catch lines and then it will go back. No, it cannot go back. That is the mechanism. We have to write we have to write a code which can occur only one exception only. If you know that there might be the different exception, then you write a next try again and the next catch again. We cannot write more lines. So that's why I'm saying do not write so much of code in the try. Entire main function you can write in a try. So what people would have done then, if everything is handled by the try, entire main method you write in a try block, compiler will take care of exceptions. No, that is not it works. How it works is only one exception can be handled. Then it will not go back. It will execute further. So this is not executed. So this line of code is dead code. You do not have anything. So this is not going to execute. Then there is another chance of having a dead code is, suppose you have a exception. So now we will take a different example of a try catch. Now we have a code of something array out of bound exception. Okay, we are writing a code. Then we have integer a comma integer b, and a equals to 10, b equals to 0, and a divided by b you are writing. Okay, this is a code you have, and you have a catch. Now, so as a programmer, suppose we don't know what is the exception. Consider we don't know the exception. Okay, here we already know it, but consider we don't know the exception and we are writing null pointer exception. You can write. There is no error in it. You can write null pointer. Only thing is compiler will ignore. Okay, null pointer exception E. and you have written a catch code like print the E object. Okay. Next, you are writing one more catch block, and in this catch, suppose we are writing the arithmetic, which is matching, okay, which is matching arithmetic exception.
Ma'am,
E.
but why we write separately? Why don't we write with parent class only one catch block? If any exception come, it will be handled in one catch block.
Okay, good question. Good. Okay. Yes, nice. Okay, suppose this is the one, and then we are writing one more catch, and we are writing exception. Exception E. Okay. Now this is okay. I will answer your question. Okay, that is correct. That is also valid. So let me explain this example. So in this example, how program executes, we will try to understand. So now try is executing. So compiler will check this line. Okay, it is correct. This is executed. This is also correct. At this point, there is some error. Okay, so divide by 0 exception occurred. Then compiler will go and find for a matching catch block. So it is not matching. Will it match? Null pointer?
No.
Not
No.
matching.
No.
Not
No.
matching. Ignored. Go to the next catch. Is it matching?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it
Yes.
is matching. It is matching. This block is executed, whatever lines. And next catch is not even checked. This is not even checked. Remaining programs will be executed. Okay, this is how it works. So one catch block is matched. Remaining things compiler is not going to check. So one is the match. Once the match is available, next catch block will not be even checked also. Will not even be checked for the exception match, because whatever exception occurred, the matching catch block is available. So next it will not check. Suppose we have this code only. This code we have again, for example, in this example. So suppose we have this arithmetic. Okay. So let me erase this all. We have. Now, if we have this program, so instead of the catch which is here, this is available at this line. What will happen? Where the exception will match, exception object will match. So try is executed.
Exception E, second one.
Okay, this is not matched because it is null pointer. This is matched because this is a parent. Exception E will match for all the errors. All the exceptions it will match. So this is not going to be executed. So in any of a case, either of any case, suppose even if there is different error, even if there is a different code, even if there is any other code or any error, in whatever case, this will never be executed. Am I correct? Are you getting? This code will never be executed because every possible exception in an exception class will be handled with this catch. Because it's a parent. Everything will be handled by a parent. No problem will come to a child. Right? In a practical scenario also, think in that. Every problem is handled by a child. A parent, meaning is it will not go to the child any case. Right? So this will never have, or this will never be executed in any of the case. Because any of exceptions available in the exception class are going to be matched here. Everything will be. So nothing will go to this. So this is never going to execute. Will it execute?
No.
No, but why we write here if it is
Yes, that is
as-
the point. Why we write? We will not write. So this is how we should not write. Because it will never be executed, we should not write. So this is called dead code. This is
And it
called dead code.
like memory and too many characters in the code and all that problems.
So we should never write any exception after catch exception E, because after this exception, nothing will be executed. No catch block is executed after this. So this should be your last catch block. Suppose you have multiple catch blocks. So that should be your last. Which should be the last one? Catch exception E should be, the generic exception should be the last one. Generic meaning is everything will handle, general, in general. So exception E is a generic, which is everything will be matched. Now arithmetic exception is specific. Specifically you are specifying that, okay, there is arithmetic exception which is specific exception. So now you fix that arithmetic problem. Okay, whatever you have done, arithmetic problems there are there, so you fix it. So that is a catch block. Arithmetic exception is only related to the arithmetics. Okay, divide by or some anything happens, for those arithmetic exception we have. So this is called specific. Specific exceptions we cannot write after generic exceptions. This is interview question. We get interview question. In which sequence we should write catch block when the dead code will be created? Okay. So we should never write specific. Specific exception after generic exception. What is generic exception? Generic is
Exception E.
exception E. So exception E is a object. Exception is a class. What is specific here? Arithmetic in this example is a specific. Null pointer is also specific. So specifically I'm mentioning someone. Suppose if I say hi everyone, it is to everyone. Specifically if I say hi Monica, it is specific to one person. So specific to a one exception we are pointing. So specific should not be the after the generic. So everything will be handled. Why? Because why we have to use these keywords generic and specific? People are expecting that these are the technical words. We should answer in these terminologies only in the interview. We cannot say exception with one another name. Exception is called exception. So we have to use these words in the answer. Okay, how we handle an exception? Using the try catch block. We can have multiple catch blocks for a one try, and every time the specific catch blocks should be first, then the generic should be last. What if we write generic first? The question will come. What if we write a generic first? So he will not say that what if I write a exception E first? Okay, interviewer will ask, what if I write a generic exception first? What will happen? We should know generic exception meaning is exception E. So if we write generic exception first, the dead code will be created. Dead code meaning is the code will never execute in entire life. Entire life, it never executes. So we should never write that. Okay, we should never write. For that, we should know that, okay, it is going to create a dead block. So we should never write. We should know, right? Then only we will not write. Yes. We should know that this will create a dead code. Then we will not write. Correct? Yes. No.
Yes, Priya.
Yes, Priya.
So now coming to your question. So why we are writing so many catch blocks? Directly we will write catch exception E. Why to have lot of drama, everything will not write. Okay, we'll write catch exception E. Everything will be handled. Okay, that is you're saying very true. Okay. Which is you can do also, which is possibly you can do as well. But if I say you give wrong password and you get a error message as error, you give wrong email ID, then also you get a error message as error. If you give some other details incorrect, but still you are getting message as error, will you be able to find and fix the error? Every time you get only message as error. We don't know what is error. We have to know specific details about the error. Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
The
Priya.
objective of exception handling is not to just handle the exception. It is to give the information to the user as well. So when your projects are used in the real time by the end user. So Java is a programming language. Exception handling is to handle the software development exceptions that may come across. Okay. So even in the automation, we should know where it is failing, why it is failing, or what actually the problem happened, so that we can go and fix it. So if we don't know, always we get only error, only exception. The message is only exception. We cannot go and fix it. We should know exact problem, then we can fix it quickly. Even though we get error, we can go and fix it. Okay, we have to spend a lot of time, we can check and then we can fix it. Sometimes we may not be able to fix it. But what is purpose of exception handling? Providing exact details. It is not just handling for the sake of handling. It is handling for the betterment, right? It should be better software, it should be better user interface, user should get better information about the mistakes they are performing.
Ma'am, if we write only the parent class in catch block, exception, then we didn't get the details that we want, exactly what is the problem. This is the thing you want to say? Like,
Okay, possibly. Okay, your question is, can you please repeat again? So exact question is, yeah.
I'm saying, like, if we write only parent class in exception in catch block,
Okay.
then with this we are not able to get the exact detail of the error.
Yes.
Is
Okay.
okay.
See, we will not get, because null pointer is, okay, null pointer meaning is we can directly say, yes, yeah, null pointer meaning is I declared one string, there might be null. Okay, so let me change it. Okay. Arithmetic exception, you instantly recall, okay, in my code, I'm using some divide by, maybe I assigned 0 value. So that is why arithmetic exception is there. Okay. So if only information exception is given, we have to check entire code, or maybe we have to think again and again what might be the exception in a program, because it is not going to give that exact detail. Arithmetic exception is the exact data about the error. Okay, there is arithmetic exception. So if you write 3, suppose in a code you are writing 3, and maybe there is a different error, it is not null pointer, it is not arithmetic, then you are writing exception. Okay, then at least you are sure about, okay, these two are not there and there is some different error, so let me check. So you
Okay,
have enough information that, okay, these are not the matching exceptions, so something else, let me check the code and fix it. So even though with exceptions our programs will run, we will fix the exceptions. And we want these exceptions to be catched specific to it, because of we have to know about the errors. So we cannot say that, okay, I will only handle with exception E. Everything you can handle it, but it is not the better way of writing. It is not good way of writing a program. Okay. So there are some ways to write the programs, and how we should write. It should be easy to fix, also easy to read, easy to understand. Others should also be able to understand. So with that all coding standards, we should always write multiple catch blocks, and most relevant or which will match will be the first, should be the first catch. So if you know probably there are two exceptions that can come. So those two you will write first and then you will write a generic one. Even if these are not matching, so somewhere it should match in this exception E. What if you do not write exception E catch block and there is different exception than these two? If that is the different exception we get, your exception is not handled, your program will not execute. Writing a try is not exception handling. Writing a try along with matching catch block is a exception handling. So how we handle? With a try catch, whatever we write a code, like where we are expecting the exception, those lines of code will only write in a try. Why we write very few lines in the try? Because try, once the error occurred, it will not go back. Compiler will not go back to the try block again. So only one exception will occur, that small lines of code or few lines of code we have to write in a try. Okay. Yes.
Just wanted to know, when you were explaining a string as a null, in the console we can see that exception on so and so line and what kind of exception was there was also written.
Hmm.
So will it help in future, like if we made any mistakes and exceptions are in the console itself with the name?
Yes. Yes, we do not handle try catch, for example. Okay, there is no try catch we handle. This is a code we have and we run it. So we are getting null pointer exception. Yes, we are getting information, but is it handled? The program is not executed further.
Yeah, so now when we write try and catch, we can use catch as a null pointer exception. Is
Hmm.
it okay?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
it is okay. You can write catch. Okay. If you are very sure that, okay, only this section exception will come, you copy, you write that exception only, null pointer exception E, and print it. So
Print.
I am sure about, okay, this is the only exception that can occur. But if I'm not sure about, so write one more statement as exception and write a E. What will happen even if it is not matched in some worst case bad luck? Okay, or two lines of statements we are writing more. Even if it is not there, this will handle. Okay, this will handle our exception. So exception should always have generic exception also. That is the better way of writing program. Okay.
Thank you. Correct. Yeah.
So, and how we write exception E? So, exception E, generic one should be last one. So, what if I write first? And this I will remove. Okay. So, now I have null pointer exception. First, I have exception E. So, immediately I put a catch exception E first, which is generic. Some error is introduced. What is compiler is saying? Unreachable catch block for a null pointer exception. It is already handled by the catch block. So, remove the catch. It is saying has these all child classes, and runtime exception has these all child classes, and index out of bound has these all child classes. So, if there are these two exceptions, this will be able to handle. Okay, index out of bound exception can handle array index out of bound, string index out of bound, both. Now, null pointer exceptions can be handled by the runtime exception. Runtime, if you write runtime exception E, these all can match. If you write exception E, then everything can match. All.